Yes, well, good morning, everybody. It's 31st of March, 2025. It's probably about 7:15 in the morning. And before I start talking about some news, it's not going to be a very long video. Uh, I'll tell you, I'll get into that in a minute, but I want to thank you people out there for all your words of encouragement, because probably a lot of you guys know what's going on. And I think, well, let me explain. I at least had that feeling when I saw some of your comments. Thank you very much. But YouTube is, I don't really know what the heck they're doing to me. But like yesterday, how many hours they take to upload a video, it is just amazing. And believe it or not, I had to try to upload that video like 4 times because they weren't downloading it or uploading it at all. It was just sitting there. You wait a half an hour and it's still at 0%. And they said uploading, and they pull all of this stuff. And I'm just really getting sick of it. I'm getting so sick of it, you can't even believe it. They're trying to do everything possible to discourage me from putting up videos, I guess. Pretty obviously why. It's because they don't like the news that I'm putting out. I mean, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I don't know. And then last night, I think, I started, I didn't start as early in the morning, not 7:30, of course. I think it was like 10 or, I think it was like 10:20 or something when I started uploading it. And, and it wasn't uploading and on and on. And then they started uploading it at once. And then like every 10 minutes, it was 1% more. So I sat there and then they stopped completely. And then I had to start again. And it's, so I don't know, when did I really start uploading? Anyway, it's taking like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. If I was to put the time down, in truth, it was definitely over 12 hours just to put a video onto YouTube for a 40-minute video. So I'm going to try to do this one, a lot quicker. But I had to say those things. Had to thank you guys for actually supporting me and all that. And I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, they're definitely, undeniably trying to discourage me from putting up videos and playing these games with me. I can't understand it, but anyhow, let me keep going on a lot of what's going on in the news. Like I said, it's going to be short, so I'll try to run this up here. There's a lot of people talking like tough. There's a lot of tough guys, Trump is always a tough guy. Putin really rarely ever says any tough guy kind of stuff. He just shows it in actions. So it's like when you're writing a book or something like that, what they tell you is, you don't tell your audience, the people reading the book, you don't tell your audience that somebody's a good guy or a bad guy. You show them. And Trump is a lot into talk and show a lot of time, not always. But Putin is just to show. He doesn't really come out and talk like a tough guy. He just comes up with actions. And I talked to you guys yesterday about what was happening with this bombing of a lot of Ukrainian troops near the border, and this one city that Putin bombed. I think, it's like somebody was showing it from their balcony, and one of those places was a hotel, and they killed some NATO people. British, definitely. Very probably French were there. I don't know about Americans, but obviously the British didn't like that at all. And a lot of the stuff that you hear going on, it's sort of like there's taboo things that they don't talk about in the news. There was one time back in the Clinton days where the United States, they bombed a bomb shelter and this is documented proof, and that's in the United Nations, but nobody ever talked about this in the press. But the United States bombed a bomb shelter in Baghdad and killed massive amounts of people, like over 100,000 people. There was no military there, and it's like not even mentioned in the press. There's a book, I think it's called The War on Terror or whatever, it's written in there, and like I said, it's in the records. Some people have mentioned it, but I don't know why. But some things, apparently all countries, no matter what your stance is, maybe you're told not to talk about things. Very strange, and that was one of them. So anyway, I got to try to keep from going off on tangents like this and just try to get out some of the news. And it's now also been verified that the United States military is and has always been involved in all of these bombings inside of Russia. That even these HIMARS strikes, nearly all HIMARS strikes are done with the consent as well as using the satellites and the planning of the United States, killing civilians. I mean, that is really tough to handle. The CIA, the article, one of the articles I was reading said something like got involved, but I think the CIA was involved in that all the time. And a lot of the coordination, it's been put out. I think a New York Times mentioned it, but it's also fact that a lot of the coordination and the planning and all was done with United States as well as Ukraine in Wiesbaden, Germany, which is quite a ways from Ukraine. And Wiesbaden, I've been there a number of times when I was in the military, and I don't know, a lot of secret kind of stuff going on all the time there. I remember George Bush once. I wasn't there, I was still out of the military, but George Bush was driving there, and all people were ordered not to go to their windows as they were driving, the convoys and stuff, the car convoys, past windows and all that sort of thing, and they had snipers or something saying they will shoot if people are looking out their windows because, George Bush was very, very hated. That's the times when they were going around, remember, with signs, where they had millions of people out on the streets, and George Bush was starting that big war in Iraq, and they said Schroeder, who was the Chancellor of Germany, Schroeder for president, and, George Bush was not very liked at all. So, okay. And Wiesbaden is also the place, remember, that's BioNTech. That's, I believe it's owned, or at least mostly owned, or highly controlled and partly owned by Bill Gates, is that laboratory where those two Turkish guys developed this, the BioNTech vaccine, which was linked with, maybe I'm not supposed to be talking about, which links with Pfizer and all that. It's a Bill Gates thing. There was even another place, and remember Donald Trump was trying to buy that. That was by Thüringen, which is in a much different part of Germany, as former East Germany. And Trump was trying to buy this sort of technology or whatever. I don't know, I think it turned out to be a nothing burger, but that was in Thüringen, and that's where my house was, right nearby there. It's a fixer-upper house that you couldn't live in yet. Had to end up selling it in terrible markets over there anyway. Yes, what else in Wiesbaden? Anyway, it's a strange place that they have all this stuff there. There's bases there, and remember, it's connected to Mainz. Mainz, it's like in Mainz there's a big shopping place for American soldiers there. I think they called it Mainz Castell or whatever, and it's like you never know practically the difference of when you're in Wiesbaden or in Mainz. They're just two cities, and it's not that far from Frankfurt, and a big military presence, U.S. military presence there, and a lot of time, as you know, there's a hospitals there, and a lot of times when people get wounded in Iraq or whatever, they fly them and they go to Wiesbaden. It's like a big military place, like I said. And anyway, Wiesbaden and Mainz, it's almost like the same city, so they're connected together. It's like San Francisco and what's the other one? And Oakland, but okay, similar. Iran affectionately, no, they officially rejected Trump's peace officer to get rid of their nuclear weapons program that does not exist. So Iran says, we're going to keep our invisible, imaginary nuclear weapons program. So, for making the nuclear bombs that we're not making, and we're going to keep on doing it. Whatever the deal is, I don't know. And I don't know what Vladimir Putin is actually thinking about this. And you guys all heard that Trump was, I guess he was pretty angry at Vladimir Putin for saying that Vladimir Zelensky is illegitimate, for telling the truth. And some people are saying, I don't know if this is a fake story or not, that Zelensky's going to be calling an election pretty soon, and their constitution mandates that they get 60 days before the vote. And so that means it would happen in July if he calls it very soon. So I don't know if this is even going to happen. I think it's maybe it's fake news. A lot of fake news going on about now. And then I saw Trump, I guess he was on Air Force One, like near the door giving some kind of interviews, and he said, yeah, he was a little bit pissed off at Putin, but he didn't sound angry at all. Maybe he was angry for a second. I don't know, because I didn't see when he was saying how angry he is and all that. So I don't know how this is going to figure in, because there's some sort of a deal between Iran and Russia. It's in a way, it's sort of a linked to defense, but I doubt very much that if the United States starts bombing Iran, that Russia's going to do anything. And I don't know. And I guess Donald Trump did say that he will bomb Iran if Iran misses the deadline, and Iran basically said, "Bring it on, bring it on, you know, we're not going to comply. We reject your offer. Bring it on." So it's going to be a wonder what's going to happen between Iran and the United States. So if they are going to bomb, and Iran is not Yemen, Yemen, and they say they had these supersonic missiles. I don't know if they didn't have very many of them or what the deal is, but it seems, I'm getting the impression that Israel has been able to shoot down all the missiles, and I don't know. Apparently the shipping is still stopped. This port at Eilat or something in the name in Israel is still not receiving any ships, so it's still harming the economy of Israel. However, like these missile attacks that Yemen is doing against the USS Harry Truman or whatever, I don't know if any of these things have been connecting. They've been all shot down, just like all these missiles that are going towards Israel. I have not heard of any time where any of these missiles have actually gotten through. I really don't know. There's fake news in Israel too. Yeah, we shot them all down when they didn't, because remember when Iran shot some missiles after there was that little bit of hostility there between Israel and Iran, and I think Israel was saying, "Oh, we got them all and nothing," or blah blah blah, and it was obvious that they did get through. Some did get through, and then of course Israel, talking more tough talk, and they said they're going to be attacking Iran. Looks like it never happened. Who knows? I tell you what, looks like Iran does not really back down. They're sort of like a Yemen, but with more power, and and a lot of people, I don't know, I guess agree with me that Yemen, they have far higher morals than the government there. Far higher morals than the government of the United States does, and Trump is willing to accept a lot of collateral damage. Maybe he just doesn't want the mass killing in Eastern Europe, but apparently he's accepting that from Netanyahu doing a lot of bombings, a lot of things going out with a lot of dead children, lots of dead children videos and things out there and photos. Israel's continuing their bombing, and it's of course, number one for Israel is ethnic cleansing. That's the number one thing. And if that's not working, by forcing all these people out of that land, because God gave that land to those people from Israel, these Europeans or something that are in Israel, you saw the real estate contract. I'm sure all of you did. So, and it's undersigned there by God himself. And anyway, if these people don't move, then they're going to die. They're going to be killing them all. And they're going to make life as miserable as possible to try to force them all out. And the Palestinians, they know that. And I don't know about these the Palestinian people that are inside in the borders of Israel. And of course, you better mind your business, or else we're going to go after you too. I have no idea. And I'll tell you, another thing, a thought that crossed my mind, I should maybe talk about this in some other video. I don't want this to get too long, but I'm wondering, how is it that Israel is able to target all of these people in all these countries around their area, like in Lebanon and in Gaza? Whenever there's a new leader of Hamas of some sort, they always know where they're at and they kill them. Doesn't matter which country in that area, whether it's going to be Syria or whether it's Lebanon or whether it's in Gaza or in the West Bank. They send a bomb and kill them, and it's not just because they're doing indiscriminate bombing all over the place. I don't know, but anyway, it's what is it called, Eilat or whatever, the last final days of Ramadan, and that's when Israel decided to do a lot of bombing and kill a lot of kids. Add insult to these poor people, that are for the most part defenseless. Okay, but Trump, he's going around threatening everybody now. He's on his threat. I guess it's threat week. Maybe he's having his period or something. I have no idea. So he's threatening. He said he's gonna take Greenland, and then I guess I think it's some leader in Greenland said, "No, you're not. You're not gonna get Greenland. Greenland's not for sale." And then there was signs up that said, "Gaza is not for sale." Trump wants Gaza, and I think I wrote something down here a little bit too that now Trump is also after Venezuela big time. And apparently what they're doing there is they're putting sanctions on anybody who's buying oil from Venezuela. And I guess a whole bunch of ships just took off right in the middle of getting fueled by Venezuela. They, according to Trump, they dropped their hoses and they just took off. And apparently that includes China. China is not getting oil from Venezuela anymore either, apparently. Of course they get a lot more from Russia, but I don't know. So it looks like they're trying to force Venezuela into poverty and riots and starvation and all that again. I don't know. We all think that, when we hear Trump talking about it, stop the killing and all that sort of stuff in Ukraine, you think, he doesn't sound like such a bad guy at all, but I don't know. Looks like he wants to take over the world. But he said, it's going to be very easy to also maybe go for another term as well, for his third term. I don't know. Yes, okay. What else do we have here? I think Trump is actually alluding to the fact that Zelensky is stringing him along. It's about this mineral deals. And of course, part of this is Trump's administration. They get a deal. Maybe it's in verbal form. I have no idea. They make some sort of a deal with Zelensky, and it's happened a few times. And then Zelensky apparently backs out, but I guess the U.S. keeps, when it's put in writing, they're adding new stuff to it that makes it even worse for Ukraine. And so Zelensky is partly in the right for all of that, but he's partly in the wrong too for stringing Trump along. And I don't know, how difficult is it to be changing these contracts a little bit? Why does it take weeks and all that? Yes, but I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But apparently Donald Trump is really pissed off at Zelensky for doing that. And I don't know. He's probably got other tools that he can use against, Zelensky. And he keeps saying that when Zelensky doesn't sign the deals, he's going to make it even tougher. And it's already tough. It's already super tough. So I had reported this stuff, and I was thinking, well, is that fake news? Because it's not coming out to be that way. But it looks like that is true. I don't even know what I said in that video. I can't remember, but it was really tough that no security guarantees, and that the United States get 50% of Ukraine's minerals, and I think it was the amount up to a certain amount, and maybe that amount was up to 120 billion. It wasn't the 300 billion. I don't really know. Maybe that there was something else written in there to make it go even further and all, but it didn't really sound that bad. And apparently Zelensky, it was bad, but it's probably going to be worse. And Zelensky, I don't know, he doesn't realize what Trump can possibly do. Okay, Elon Musk, he had a massive rally in Wisconsin, and of course a lot of this is to try to get these people to vote for the Republican there, because he said that it's very, very possible that if the Republicans don't win, that this will be a very, very big game changer, and it will alter a lot of the, because what they can do, what they can do there is nice young girl there walking her dog. So what they can do there is, oh gosh, where was I at here? Damn pretty young girls. Why do they distract me like this? Okay. Okay. So, oh gosh. Well, it would have a negative effect. It would be a historical, but it would be a negative effect. And because they could, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that, the funding, a lot of the funding and programs and all that sort of stuff that originates in the House of Representatives, and they're the ones that allocate like the funds and all that. So what would possibly happen is they could freeze everything if the Democrats get in control of the House of Representatives. and AOC, and they will just do it out of spite. They will do it out of spite. And of course, they hate Elon Musk. No matter what they do, the whole idea is it's not to do anything that's positive for the United States. It is to show hatred. I mean, look what politics is all about now. It's not trying to see who has the best plan for their constituents, for their country. It's to say, how can they screw over the other guy? And it doesn't matter how badly they screw over the country. So that's how they're working. That's what politics are all about now. It's like that in Europe. It's so much better to be over here in Belarus and maybe in Russia as well. But there's another point. Let me talk about that too at the very end of this video. But it's almost done. Okay. Like I said about the Venezuela. Okay. I guess it's right now. That's what I was going to talk about. Like I said, this is going to be quite a bit shorter video, and I definitely want to be quite a bit under 30 minutes, because I can't be waiting 7 hours for this video, for a 30-minute video to upload into, because I can't use my phone during that time. So anyway, Tikhanovskaya, she came out in some interviews, talking English, by the way, and she's talking about how evil Lukashenko is and how we don't have any food here and how we're all living in a big gulag. You see how miserable we all are. And I don't know. It's just a bunch of fake news. She knows it's fake news, but they have a big, huge psyop against a lot of the Belarusian people. Some of them are falling for this kind of stuff anyway, or falling for part of it, and even though they know very well that it's not really all true stuff, and she says that people are reading the wrong news, and she said, if you read the wrong news in Belarus, like such as what I'm now just telling you, exactly what I am telling you, watching that interview with Tikhanovskaya, because I watched that video, that they're going to come after me and put me in a gulag. So, wait a minute. I think maybe today, maybe they're going to get me because I'm just now talking about this, because I watched the wrong news. I watched her getting an interview. It's incredible. And she said I'll be in prison for 10 to 15 years. Wow. So I guess I got to get ready. I got to get my toothbrush ready and get a good supply of toothpaste and all that, because they're going to come and get me. Oh my God! I'm telling you, the amount of fake news that we have, and the Belarusian people, a lot of them don't even realize that there's a psyop running against them. So, anyway, that's about all I wanted to say today. And this is definitely going to be under 30 minutes. I don't know. Let's see how fast I can get this uploaded. Like I said, sometimes they put it up really fast in 20 minutes, and then most of the time they take 6 hours or something like that to upload my videos. I really don't. It doesn't matter what time I'm putting them on. I thought maybe in the morning. Because it's too early, and then I'd try it at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and it take even longer than, like I said yesterday. I don't know. So let's see what happens. And again, thank you guys for all the nice comments, and I might have to just do less videos, only on days where I can afford to let my phone be occupied for 6 and 7 hours or whatever the deal is. I don't know. But again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.